ever felt you wanted to reclaim your power after a toxic relationship? In this episode of Queer Conversation, we speak to Melbourne-based singer-songwriter Amanduh, who has just done this with her latest song, Old Flame. Welcome to Lottel and our series Queer Conversation. Queer Conversation features queer artists, community leaders, researchers and trailblazers who share their story with you. In today's episode, we meet Amanduh, a Melbourne-based young singer and songwriter who just released her debut single, Old Flame. Welcome, Amanduh, to Queer Conversation. We are very happy to have you here. It's a big week for you. You just released your first single, Old Flame. Tell us a little bit about you.
So I think the most fascinating parts about me is, first of all, my upbringing. So I was raised by 3 women and one man. Not all is a big family. I come from a very broken family. So my mum and my dad had me. They separated. My dad found another partner, and my mum also found another partner, and they just both ended up finding women. So that definitely shaped my childhood. I grew up in regional Victoria. Then I moved to Melbourne. I do identify as queer, so I hate using labels, but if I had to, I'd say I'm bi, so I'm attracted to both and all genders. I don't really care what's in between your legs or up here. If I'm attracted to you, I'll do you. So that's definitely made for an interesting adult. I've spent about 6 years in the sex industry working as a stripper as well. So I've done a lot of growth, and all of this has kind of come into play with my music. So it's all... the reason why I started in the adult entertainment industry was obviously for the money and to support myself financially to create music. I've been in a really lucky position that, everyone in my life is really accepting of all aspects of me, which is really great. And I feel like I express that a lot in my sound. I'm super confident, and that really reflects in my music. And I think that is because of not only my upbringing, but also the decisions I've made as an adult.
Let's talk about your musical journey.
So in terms of music, I was raised on musicals. My mum, my biological birth mother, she was very into musicals. So my brother and I were raised on musicals, and that later developed into me joining a choir. And so I did choral music for about 5 years of my life. And then as I grew older, I did musicals, but that was really hard in regional Victoria because there's not much opportunity. So when I was 17, I left home and I moved to Melbourne, and I did some musicals. As an adult, my non-biological mum, so Hayley, the mum that was with it's very messy, the one that was with my biological mum, she actually passed away in 2017. So my music came to a halt, not because don't get me wrong, I was in mourning, but I'm not sure why. I just I had nothing left in me. There was no motivation to do music. Everything kind of really came to a halt with the music. I didn't do any musicals. I didn't really sing a lot. I didn't gig a lot. I didn't even do a lot of writing, which is really unusual because I've been writing music my whole life. And then about 2.5 years ago, I don't know what happened, just a flick switched, and I got back into gigging a lot. I did a musical last year in between COVID, been gigging at markets and stuff. So I don't know. I think, I'm not really sure what happened, but I slowly rebuilt that back up, which was nice. So my musical journey hasn't necessarily been smooth, and it hasn't always been in the same lane, because I feel like people tend to pigeonhole you. It's either, oh, you're a choral musician, or oh, you do music theatre, or oh, you're a indie pop singer. And I've switched lanes quite a few times, but I'm quite happy where I've ended up.
You have just released your first single, and congratulations on that. That's a big step in the right direction. The title is Old Flame. Now, who hasn't got an old flame? What motivated you writing that song?
Well, so I got a text from an ex, basically. Long story short, I got a text from an ex, and it was one of those standard, I'd really like to catch up with you. Let's go get a coffee. I miss you. I'm sorry for the way I treated you. All that stuff that you hear. And I feel like it wasn't necessarily honest. I feel like it was kind of one of those things that they're trying to make themselves feel better and not being sincere. And I was like, absolutely not. And I kind of thought about how much I'd grown as a human, and not about being better than them, because that's not about that. And I don't think I am. It's about knowing that I'm worth more. Like I deserve more than what I was given by that human being. And so I wrote the chorus, and which was really, really catchy, and I loved it. And I couldn't figure out how to nut out the rest of it. So I actually kind of just put it to bed. It stayed in my phone recording and my notes for a while. And then about 6 months later, I whipped it out again, and I wrote the entirety of the song in about 15 minutes. And so I don't know what happened. I think I just heard the chorus again. And I think I might have been watching a TV show at the time. I find that TV shows, I draw a lot of inspiration from movies and TV shows, because you can really relate to like what they're going through, and it kind of brings back emotions that you used to feel about certain things. So yeah, a mix between that text message and probably whatever TV show I was watching at the time, brought Old Flame, because it's just about, you know, you see all sorts of toxic relationships and you're like, what are you doing, babe? Like, you deserve so much more. Like, why aren't you confident in yourself? And I really wanted like a fun, deep breakup song that's about you.
Are you a solo performer, or do you play in a band?
So it's funny, I traditionally am a solo. It's really interesting trying to explain to people when you don't have demos, and when you've only got some songs produced, and you go, hi, I have this song, this is how I'd play it as a soloist, but you play bass, I don't play bass, and I don't know how you're going to play it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's quite hard to, I guess, put into words how you want something to sound if you haven't created that sound yet. And you've got all these people in a room going, how do you want your song to sound? You're like, I don't know. So that's been a really interesting challenge to navigate, but I've enjoyed it. And yeah, so I predominantly play guitar and keys or piano. I dabble in ukulele and a bunch of other instruments, but I'm strongest in keys and guitar. Yeah.
You are just gigging in bars and clubs, or what have you been doing in the last 3 years, basically, as a musician?
Yeah, so I mainly like markets, little festivals, pubs, bars, weddings and stuff. I guess it's kind of less pressure, because you only have to rely on yourself. There's not like a team looking up to you. And you know, it's nice doing covers of songs. That's always good fun. But yeah, I tend to do really chill, almost indie folk, which is different to my release, which is indie pop. So it's more of like a laid back sound. I just like really chill events where I can really connect with my audience. I really love intimate spaces because I'm a talker. I tend to ramble and talk about the songs I'm singing. So if I've got a smaller, intimate space where I can connect with people, that's where I really thrive. And so the way Old Flame came about is because I was just writing music constantly, and I messaged my now producer, and I let him know that I had this really cool idea, if he'd be interested in working with me. And he said, yeah, send it through. But it kind of, I got nervous and I didn't. And then 6 months later, he was kind of the one to, I guess, relight the flame, and was like, hey, you never sent me that thing. And so from there, I worked on it with him. So I think having that motivation from him really helped me, because I'd never had that from anyone before, giving me that kick up the butt that I needed. And yeah, COVID made it challenging to record it. But I think also I really strive from, not necessarily jealousy, but like seeing other people around me succeed and wanting that for myself. So seeing other musicians blossom in lockdown really helped get Old Flame off the ground, because it put more of a drive underneath me, because I was like, I want to be like that. Like, why aren't I doing that? I have the skills to do that, but I'm not doing it.
What was the major hurdle for you, or do you have a piece of advice for anyone who is looking at, who is on that crossroad? There are whatever holds them back, but what advice would you give?
So the hardest part for me was just kind of not knowing what to do. Like, where do you start? You've got a song, you've got the chords, you've got a demo, and you're like, now what? That was the biggest struggle for me, because I didn't know who to ask. I was nervous and I was scared. So I think the best piece of advice is literally message someone. It doesn't matter if they've got a little blue tick next to their name. It doesn't matter how many songs they've released. Message them and just go, hey, would you be happy for a coffee? Would you be happy to have a sit down? Because that's what I did. I messaged so many people. I'm like, I just don't know how to do this. Can you explain to me the process? And the amount of responses I've got was ginormous, of just people who have been in the industry for ages that were happy just to talk about the process. So my producer, Kieran, he's worked with people like G Flip. He's worked with Greta Ray and Kingswood. So he's quite big in Australia. And so I literally messaged him. I was like, I don't know if you work with small people like me who have nothing to their name, but I'm really interested. I don't know where to go from here, but I have this. What do I do with it? And he was like, oh, you give it to me and I help you. And I'm like, oh, that's simple. Okay, can I give it to you? He's like, yes. So I think just your connections are so important.
Amanda, just tell us how people can find you, and I guess through social media. What are your social media handles, your website? How can people download your single Old Flame?
So in terms of accessing the song, you can do the old-fashioned YouTube. There is a music video, so you just type in Amanda with a UH and Old Flame and it should pop up. You can stream it on Triple J Unearthed. You can find it on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, SoundCloud, any of the really major streaming services. You can find it. In terms of connecting with me on social media, I'm not a big social media bug. So I've pretty much only got a Facebook page, which is just Amanda with a UH, and my Instagram, which is I Demand a Beer. That's my username, I Demand a Beer, because my full name is Amanda Beer. So I Demand a Beer is kind of like a play on words. But honestly, if you search up Amanda in Instagram, it will come up as well.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Amanda. Really appreciate the time, and all the luck with your single and every other project and the EP you're working on. And I hope it all goes well for you. If you enjoy Queer Conversation, make sure to follow us on all our social media platforms. You can also check out our website, lotl.com, where you will find 30 years of Lotl magazine digitized. My name is Silke Bader, and thank you for your company.
I don't do take-backs, not for emotional abuse. Don't wanna feel like that, constantly